Hey everybody, and welcome to session 1 of EdCampHome 3.0. We are talking one-to-one for newbies today. And right now, there's only 2 of us in the Hangout because our other folks are having technical difficulties. So I'm going to let Jessica introduce herself, and then I will introduce myself.
Okay. My name is Jessica Runts. I am a Latin teacher at Brown Summit Middle School in Greensboro, North Carolina. And we're getting our one-to-one initiative started in November of this next school year. So we're going to be having the Amplify tablets, which are kind of new. They're running on an Android system. I'm really excited about it. We've had iPads in the last couple of years, but not actually at a one-to-one kind of ratio. So
cool. That's awesome. I've never heard of that tablet before, actually.
It's new. They were at ISTE. I got to see him in person. It was exciting.
Oh, cool. Awesome. I'm Victoria Olson. I'm a grade 3 foreign technology teacher in Langley, British Columbia, and I do a bunch of other stuff online to run professional development, from ed chats to podcasts to, I don't know, whatever I can get my hands on to get involved. And in my classroom this year, we were actually 2-to-1 at the beginning of the year with iPads, and then we moved on to getting some Chromebooks in the classroom, which actually put us to one-to-one most of the time. So we got to experience a lot of blended learning with our one-to-one experience, which a lot of classrooms don't get to do. They're usually confined to one device. So I can talk a little bit about what that looks like and why it's great. And Mike is just joining us again. I don't want to put him on the spot when he's getting his lower third back, but he got kicked out before we went on air.
Yeah, you can hear me fine?
Yeah, we can hear you. Do you want to introduce yourself, or do you want us to give you a sec to get everything organized?
As long as you can see me and hear me, let me turn my lower third on. There it is.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, so Victoria, you've gone, and Jessica, have you introduced yourself yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jess, what's your background?
I'm a Latin teacher at a middle school in North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. Okay, cool. And have you? Do you have a one-to-one program? Are you guys just getting it?
We're just getting it. We're going to get all the tablets in November. We're getting the Amplify tablets, which are kind of new. Yeah.
Yep.
We have iPads right now, but not one-to-one, just a few per classroom. So.
Okay, that's hard to manage for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, my background, I'm the ed tech director in Encinitas. We've been one-to-one with iPads for about 3 years now. So I've come in just kind of listen to you guys and any advice or feedback. We're an Apple Distinguished Program District, and we just won the Digital Center for Education Digital Curriculum and Content Award. So, like I said, I'd love to hear what you guys, any questions or what you guys are doing, just to compare it against what we're doing.
Cool. Jessica, are you coming at this more from like a how do I teach one-to-one or like management?
A little of both, honestly. I got a chance over the last few months of school to have kind of a one-on-one environment in my classroom, just because when I'm teaching, it's during encore, so there's an entire grade level on plan. So I would just borrow everyone's iPads, and between that and our BYOD, I was able to get a one-to-one. So I got kind of that experience of what it's like to have every kid with a device. But yeah, so just I'm looking for advice and how to proceed and help my other coworkers that haven't had that experience of being able to have even a mock one-to-one in the classroom.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I was just saying, Mike, before you got back on here too, that I was working with 2-to-1 with iPads for most of the year.
Okay.
But then we picked up some Chromebooks, and we're a Google Apps school, so we picked up some Chromebooks about halfway through the year, and I was kind of working in a blended situation. So that definitely changed the game, and it was really neat to see my kids being able to access different devices for different purposes, and the things that they started doing or using specific devices for was very interesting. So.
And what grade level you teach? Or what
3-4, and 3-4, and I'm a tech coach for my K-7 school.
Okay, and what district?
I'm in Langley, British Columbia, so way up. Yeah.
Okay. So you're using Canadian curriculum.
Yeah. Well, it's not actually that much different. Like, I mean, Yeah, I used to look at I used to review apps for the Common Core, and
Hmm.
it's very, very similar. So
It should, as it should be.
yeah.
Okay, so your experience now is that this will be your first year with a one-to-one access, like first full year.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, yeah, because I was 2-to-1 from September to December
And
or Jan
how long you been using Google Apps for?
just this year. And I used it personally for a bit longer than that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Are you guys using Teacher Dashboard or anything like that?
Like
Um,
Kamara? No.
yeah. Okay. So you're
No.
waiting Google
We're just
Classroom.
straight up. Yeah, maybe. Like, I mean, I've played a little around, a couple of us have played around a little bit with, like, the add-ons, the scripts and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what Classroom does to replace that kind of stuff. So, Jessica, do you know about those?
No, that sounds new to me.
Okay, so basically on Google Apps for Education, and if you have an Android tablet, this might work really well for you.
Hmm.
From your desktop computer, you can basically take an assignment. So say I have a template for an assignment or something like that, and I can actually push out that document to all of my students. So it'll share a document with all the kids. They have like a hand-in folder and all this stuff that they can submit, and everything's really organized.
Hmm.
It's an application called Doctopus. It's an add-on to Google Docs and spreadsheets. And some of our teachers have been using this to just distribute and get back assignments and information. And on the tablet, it looks a little bit different. The kids would still receive everything on their Google Drive, but they can complete their whole assignment on the tablet. But it's a lot of, on the typing side of things at least, it's a lot of, tap as opposed to
Hmm.
keyboard. So my kids usually opted for the Chromebooks instead of the iPads when it came to assignments like that. But if that's what you have, they'll probably still use
I mean,
that.
I think uh, you're going to start seeing more keyboard, at least for iPads and Androids. I think are just USB. So the nice thing is that if you have like a tablet, you unplug it, you got your tablet back, um, and then so when the kids need it to have a keyboard is definitely good. I mean, our first 3 years we didn't have keyboards, and kids are writing 8, 9 pages of text. So I think production-wise, especially as they get older, it becomes kids can compose quite a bit on that. But the other thing is, and it depends. Again, I'm used to the iPad environment, but it shouldn't be any different in a Chrome or Android. Is that any of the media apps your kids have too? They can turn those into Google Drive. So if you're having them do anything with video or images, sketches, things like that, it's fairly easy to push those over to Google Drive from the students. And as long as they can get them in and you have something to share with, it's a good system for kids turning things in.
Yeah, we really like the tablets as far as like, so we use our iPads for a lot of the point and shoot and captures type of stuff.
Yeah.
So kids are creating a lot of images and sharing those, whether it's just putting it on their Google Drive or putting it on a blog or whatever,
Hmm.
sharing it to our Twitter feed. So there's a lot of ways that each of our devices, like I wouldn't say one is more valuable than the other because they just both have such different roles to my students. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's been really cool having this blended model of different devices because I know not everybody gets that. So
Yeah, I think if you have options for different tools for different jobs, it's nice. Um, I think, especially at the elementary level, most of the kids can get a lot done within whatever the university create for them, as long as it's got access to the cloud, Google Apps, and a way to share. Do you guys use an LMS at all, like a um, Edmodo or anything like that to collaborate or have kids share?
We
some
have
of our,
Edmodo. Sorry.
it's okay. Yeah, go ahead. Like, how do you use Edmodo?
We just have like the whole school signed up. For me, I actually teach every kid at my school, which is a lot. So I have 240 students, and I just have them divided up into their grades and then small groups for each of my individual classes because I have 12 classes. And it's really been nice because more it's the second semester this year than in the past. I've been having almost everything they submit electronically for me through Edmodo, which is the best because I just hate having a million papers, especially from that many kids. And, it's nice to be able to have a running assignment that they can just keep resubmitting and editing and, even with their group work and things, they've been submitting it through Edmodo, and I just really like it. So I'm a big fan of that. I'm excited about, that being the norm now once we have devices for everyone on a daily basis. So.
How much paper? Oh, go ahead, Victoria.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say we have a couple teachers using Edmodo and one using Schoology. So I don't use one, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think it's different purposes. If you're doing quizzes and assignments and stuff, it's a good way to organize that. But in our district, not everyone uses. We have about 300 teachers, and everyone seems to use different things. But I think the goal is to get some type of workflow digitally, so it's easier for kids to turn things in and to get less paper in the classroom. Jessica, how much paper do you think you use now?
Not nearly as much. I think the only thing that I tend to actually print and give to the kids is their vocab sheet from me that they get for each of our chapters, because being Latin, there's a lot of vocab. And even that I'm feeling like isn't necessary because almost all the kids are on our Quizlet, and they've got all of their sets and everything on there. So I'm hoping to even get away from that, even though I love like color coding and whatnot with my papers. But yeah, it's been a lot less, which is awesome because I am kind of like I can misplace something really easily, and I appreciate that when it's on digital things, I can just find it, and I don't have to worry about keeping up with it.
A lot of kids are that way too. So.
Yeah, and they're the exact same way. Like, as soon as I started moving stuff to having it on Edmodo, like my kids that always lose a paper in between class, like that was no longer a problem. It was just there. Now I just got to make sure they all know how to sign into their Edmodo, which, I even have 8th graders this year that had to ask other people, like, what's our password again? How do I sign into this?
Yeah.
I think that's a part of when it becomes like a whole school thing and everyone's doing it. It becomes a lot more natural.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it sounds like you at least have a component of it. Are you finding that you can collaborate with other teachers at your school, or you think you're pretty far ahead of most of them?
I would say that it's kind of interesting. Like, in some ways we have teachers that are using technology on a semi-regular basis, but it's more in like the beginning levels of it, like using it as having them type assignments, like that kind of thing, not really opening it up to the different kinds of things the kids can do with it. But I think it's more of a not that they don't want to do it, they just haven't been exposed to all the different options there are. So I'm kind of excited about our training that we're getting with the one-to-one, the PD. Hopefully will be really good, and they'll learn some new things to do and be better for the kiddos.
What about you, Victoria? How about your school? Are you guys, and as you're a coach, you probably see it more. What level do you think your teachers are at as far as feeling comfortable and being able to integrate it kind of within the classroom?
Very, very comfortable. We have I would say over half of our staff this year, we're integrating technology in meaningful ways. But not everybody goes one-to-one. We have 2 one-to-one iPad classrooms in the school, one at the 2nd grade level and one at the 5th, 6th grade level. And these are teachers who are seasoned teachers. They wanted to take on the challenge, and the administration gave it to them. And they said to me, throughout the years we worked together like this, they've never had to work so hard in their career, and that they've never learned so much in their career. So it was really cool to see these. There's that stereotype of these older teachers, being the ones who are resistant, but that's not always the case. These teachers were super willing to take this on and shared a lot, and there was just a lot of momentum in the staff room, and you started to feel our ideas all building off of each other, which is really neat. So I would say the capacity is more than a typical school in our district, for sure. But there are still pockets, right? It's not like our whole school was like that, and I think there's pockets of that great energy at other schools as well. So
transformation takes time.
It does. It really does. And it's not going to be everybody. We have to be okay with that.
Yeah, and I think what's going to happen though is as kids articulate through, like our kindergartners got iPads for the first time this year. They're going to have a year's worth of experience, some of them more than others, when they go into first grade. So as they go up the grade levels, they're going to be stronger and stronger and understand, even themselves how to use things so they can start choosing, apps themselves. And a lot of our kids, they find they learn best from themselves. About 60% of our kids said that they learn an app or the different programs best by themselves. And then the second was from friends, and the bottom was teachers, about 15%. They thought were the people that taught them best about the apps. So
I think that's probably fair.
Well, so this is what I think one-to-one teachers should know. You need to give kids tech playtime, and if they don't have time, so if you say, okay, we're going to use this app, but you need to give them give them 15 minutes with the app and just be like, go explore it, go play, and see what there is to do on it, and let's share, and then they can kind of teach each other about it, and then we go into how are we going to build content in the classroom with this app. That was my biggest learning experience, at least.
I think don't have, especially when they're first learning different programs, don't have them do a big research project where they have to go look for a bunch of information and learn to use the app at the same time. Have them do something that they already know, that they can produce, that they don't have to spend a lot of time collecting content and synthesizing, because they'll be a lot more successful once, after they learn it, without having to kind of multitask, in different modes of their brain.
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, with your iPads, Jessica, did you find the same thing?
Oh yeah, I think that you've got to give them that time, because if you don't, you're going to have two things. You're going to have the kids that are super confused, about what they're trying to do, and they're going to have the kids that are working ahead, goofing around on it anyway. So with anything that I try to do that was new, I always try to build in that little bit of free time to have fun with it and do different things with it. We started using Storyboard That, which I learned from one of the podcasts I listened to. And before I even had them try to make a little storyboard in Latin, I'm like, why don't you guys just make a silly storyboard for this 5 minutes just to see how it works and see how it works on the iPads? Because for me, I'd only had experience using it on the computer, so I didn't know if there was going to be too much of a learning curve on the iPad. And in that 5 minutes, we learned that we probably should do it in the computer lab because our Wi-Fi was really slow, and it was not working so well on the iPads. But hey, that's what you got that time for. So.
Yeah, that's definitely something a good one-to-one needs, is good Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. They have built in a new server for us and everything for the tablets, but they haven't released it yet because I guess they don't want us to use it until we need the tablet. So I'm hoping it'll be better, because our Wi-Fi right now is pitiful. We have BYOD, and our guest Wi-Fi is so bad that it's almost unless you're doing something really basic, it's not even worth it to have them pull out the devices, which is really sad.
Too bad.
But, most of the time Kahoot works on it, and that's pretty good. That makes the children happy. I like their Kahoot.
You guys both use Kahoot?
I've just seen it demoed quite a few times. I helped my 5th and 6th grade teacher to use it, but I never used it myself. So.
I bet for Latin it's probably pretty good.
It's awesome. I love it. I guess I found it maybe in April or so, and we played enough Kahoots that by the end of the year I was like, guys, aren't you burned out on this? And they're like, no, we love Kahoot.
They like
I even did an assignment where I had them make their own Kahoots, which was really good for me because it was their last little assignment that they had for me in 6th and 7th grade Latin. And then for the last couple of weeks, we just played their different Kahoots. And since they had made them, I even got to play with them, which was great because it was those moments where you would think that as a teacher I should win every time. I did not, because they'd make tricky questions where they'd misspell an answer that looks like the right answer, but it's not really the right answer. And, it was fun. I love Kahoot. It's a good one.
That's awesome.
So, go ahead, Victoria.
Oh, I was going to ask you, Mike, how you guys manage your iPads.
Well, we've done different things, different years.
Because I'm just about to go on the road of hey, we're getting Configurator, and I'm like, I've worked with Configurator before, and I hate it.
We're using Meraki this year, which is a lot better. You have to have a mobile device manager if you're gonna, I mean, at a school site you can get away with configurator, but it's still kind of a problem. But when you're beyond that, like the 9 schools, and we manage all the iPads centrally, so and this is the first year we're going to actually be able to customize apps for each classroom, because it's a lot easier, or each grade level, and then we're going to have an app store on there that the kids and teachers can pull down from. You know, because we want to give them some flexibility. Before, we just load everything on that they could possibly need, but a lot of them never got used. So now it's going to be.
And it's a space thing too. Like I found, like we ran out of space when we'd actually shoot like iMovie stuff and whatever. We'd run out of space really quickly, and some of those apps take up a lot of room. So.
Absolutely, yeah. So we dropped about maybe at least half of the apps off and made off the image, and then gave teachers a choice. You know, we had them fill out a form with what apps they wanted this next year. So, you know, I think that would be better. But yeah, no, the management's going to be so much better with Meraki. Configurator, just having to plug things in, it's not fun. At least it's improved now with apps being able to update themselves over the air. I mean, that was always a challenge too, where you know you have 2 to 3 versions back on the apps, because we just have time to plug everything in, and you know, so that's going to make it easier. So when there's a new thing and we're rolling out and saying this is a great new feature, they're going to go, well, we don't have it because we can't get our apps updated in an efficient way.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I've worked with it before, and we had that trouble too, but. We're going with configurator this year because there's too many devices to manage, and we're not doing it manually anymore. So it's a pain.
It is. And how many schools are in your district?
Oh, I don't know. I just manage the devices in my school. I want to say there's 30.
Is there any central management, or is it just like you guys have iPads, take care of them at your site?
There is a little bit of central management, but I want to say that they are probably just as apprehensive about it as we are, or the caseload is too big for them to actually get to schools and really work on that stuff. I know the last 2 schools I was at, I was taking care of it. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they act at a school who doesn't have a tech coach, because I've just been the tech coach at both schools, so kind of landed on my shoulders. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's good to have a local person that can support. Do you guys have students do anything?
We used to have students helping out with like transportation of stuff, but not, and like maybe like at the end of the year doing some stuff with just like adding and deleting different apps, because we were doing everything manually. But this year was a little different because we were in job action, and we've been on strike since like the beginning of June, so we couldn't really get kids in to help. So because we didn't end up at work, so. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're running a student program next year. We're going to have students that will have like a Genius Bar for school for teachers. They're going to build tutorials, and then we're going to try to figure out how we can get them in the classroom so that if a teacher wants to introduce something, she'll have some support from students, because they tend to know the apps, at least, things like that. You know, we're not going to have them do networking, but they can at least support some of the learning initiatives.
That's really awesome. I want to try to do something like that. I got some interest from students that would potentially want to be on something like a little Geek Squad or Genius Bar type thing. And so I'm hoping to do that. Our person that we have from the district that's a part of helping with the whole tablet initiative and everything said that apparently that's one of our action items anyway, is to put together a student tech team. So I'd be very interested to see what you're doing as far as that. We've got a little leeway time because we don't actually launch our tablets till November, because we're the last out of all the schools to get them, but that's okay. So at least we got some time to get ready.
Well, yeah, it's year by year. Obviously, it gets better, but there's still, especially with the lower grades. Are you guys? So you're at a high school, right, Jessica?
I'm middle school.
Middle school. Okay, so are you 6'8"?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a great age for that type of program. In fact, I know that talking with some other middle schools, we're at K6, so we don't have middle schools in our district, but you could make it a class even at the middle school level, where kids can be available during a certain time and get credit for it, whereas elementary it's a little harder since they're more self-contained.
That would be pretty great. I know they'd be enthused about it.
Yeah.
I think some of our kids would be pretty excited about it. It's just how much the teacher wants to release the older kids from their classroom.
That's the key, and we're still figuring that one out.
That's the struggle.
Yeah, totally. Totally. So have you worked with Meraki yet a lot? Or
a little bit. Enough. I mean, I've worked with it enough, but I've got someone else doing all that. So, but it's fairly simple. We've loaded all our iPads, about 5,000 on, and like I said, just from past experience, it's night and day. It's really gonna make things a lot easier to control. And Apple's done a few things on the back end it's going to make it easier as well for management. So hopefully this year we'll see more of a streamlined, where maybe more approaching what the Chromebook management is.
Now, do you know if Meraki can manage more than just Apple products?
Yeah, you can do Windows. I'm pretty sure you can. I'm not sure about Chromebook, but you can do Android for sure. You can do Mac laptops, so we're going to put our Mac laptops on there for our teachers. So it definitely supports multi-platform.
Yeah, like I've seen MacBooks, I've seen the PCs, and I've seen iPads on the system that I was talking to a guy about here in California, but I have not seen Chromebooks be on there, and that's what I'm curious about, because if that managed Chromebooks as well, that would be
I'd have to look at. We don't have any Chromebooks, so but I'd be interested in looking into that, because that would be nice to do everything in one suite.
Yeah, for sure. Do you work with any of that stuff, Jessica? Like, as far as the management goes?
Not anything right now. I guess just because ours is so small right now, since we just have 4 iPads per class, and we only have 12 teachers, so we're a really small school. I guess it's not as necessary with that few number of devices. So.
Yeah, fair enough. That's part of what happened to us. We just kind of kept building. We were small, and then we just kept building, and then finally it's like, we can't do this manually anymore. Not happening.
It gets to a point where you got to hire somebody full time just to manage the iPads at a school. Then you got to find a better solution.
Yeah. Totally. Do you guys have any more questions? We're supposed to be wrapped up about 5 minutes ago. So do you guys have any more questions or any additional words of wisdom?
No, I mean, I've got on my website, ThinkRight.com, I've got some iPad one-to-one guides. So that's someplace that it can go if there's interest in that. But other than that, I think making sure that you're not alone, working with other colleagues, I think is important. Because it's that synthesis of information that everyone has, and not feeling overwhelmed by being involved with other people. I think that's important, and then just letting the kids be active too. That's one of the biggest successes we saw.
Mm-hmm. What was your website again? Sorry.
It's the letter I, and then ThinkRight.com.
ThinkRight, like RIGHT?
Like as in writing, like as in I wrote a book. Okay, so let me put it in there. Let me see if I can get it.
I just wanted to tweet about it.
Okay, right. Is it on the lower third now?
Here we go. I think I got it.
Okay. Let me turn it on and off, and there it is.
Right.
Okay.
Awesome.
We just started up this summer, so we're launching some products this summer. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'll tweet that resource. There we go. All right, so we'll wrap up, and hopefully you guys have an excellent session too. Nice to meet you.
Yep, likewise.
Yeah. Nice to meet you too. Good talk. Thank you, guys.
Good job,
All right.
Victoria.
Thanks, guys.